Hello, Asmon, if you're watching. I think you're a thought leader and a warrior. If Asmongold's watching, so in World of Warcraft, you play games and you run the dungeon. You run the shit. No, I shouldn't have said that. I can't. I've got to edit that out. Asmongold will think I'm an idiot for saying dungeon. You don't run a dungeon, do you?
Raid.
You raid. That's it. You raid. You try and get your drops for your loot. You try and get your drops for your mounts, and it's random, isn't it? Like you're very much like running this raid in the same way as you're putting a lever on a slot machine, like I said earlier with Diablo, and at the end of it, you're hoping that this thing drops. Isn't that an intrinsic part of video games? And I'm asking you this in context of, should we be regulating gambling in video games? So there's a hard question for you, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it's a hard question because it's a really good example. Because again, with Warcraft, you are at least getting there's no extra cost. You're paying your monthly subscription for access to that content, and you deal with that content however. You know, you might do the Pandora one straight away, or you might just do your regular one, or you might go do the Lich King one. But either way, you've paid the cost of your monthly subscription. So you're going to do all that, and you can accept that randomized chance as acceptable because they're all items that are in the game. And see, I'm thinking of like if it was on a cartridge or a disc. You know, if it was like an old Nintendo or a PlayStation.
I'm very much a believer in the idea that because I'm from that generation, that I will pay £40 for a game and then it's in the game, and through my endeavour I will unlock everything. So you don't have to give me the main stuff on day one, but I'll beat the boss, and when I do, I want that weapon or that character or that thing. Or, you know, when I beat it, I want to be rewarded with the thing. Put all the content in the game, not behind a paywall, but behind content, and I'm happy. But increasingly in today's world, with Genshin Impact, you know, it's ever obvious that it's not that. In World of Warcraft, even someone like Asmongold, who has played for all this time, has still not achieved some of these more rare drops. So, again, throwing it back to you, I agree with what you're saying there. I like the principle. So is it that maybe it should be that way because you're paying for World of Warcraft even though it's subscription based, or is it still acceptable that these things are randomized?
I think, again, because I'm thinking of like if it was on a disc or a cartridge, like I pay £40 for all this stuff. Enter the Gungeon is a good one for me because, you know, you'll lock more weapons the more and more you do, but it's completely random. The weapons you'll find throughout your goes are random. And they're going to be pulled from a pool of unlocks, and the unlocks are going to be random as well, unless they're like specifically like kill this enemy 5 times to get this, you know, that sort of thing. But you can accept that because you paid all the cost up front. So in this point, it becomes a question of, well, I'm just investing time at this moment, and if I did a good run and got a shit weapon, I might feel ripped off. I might feel that sense of loss because I'll think I could have got a better gun for how good that run was. But either way, there's no real sense of loss beyond the moment you turn off the console or save your game and quit. That's it, because you've not invested anything other than time. Whereas, if I pay £60 for FIFA, and then I have to keep paying on top of that to buy new cars, to unlock new players, to keep my team competitive or viable, because other people are also spending, that's extra cost incurred. And I'm not seeing as much return from it, because like we said earlier, losses hurt twice as much as gains feel good. So if I'm loss averse, I'm not likely to want to go down that path of, well, I know I'll be able to spend this much money on, say, my ultimate team, but then after that, I'm out and I'm going to tap out. So I might as well not bother, and I'll save myself that money and I'll go play something else.
Do you know what?
Because at least then I'll have paid up front for a cost.
This exact point here, to sort of crystallise what you're saying and repeat it back to you to make sure that I'm getting this nicely, is that when we talk about a game like World of Warcraft, where what we're sort of talking about is pay-to-win mechanics and the limits of them. Yeah. And if you're saying that if you can pay to win and you can sort of go out and just like spend loads of money, like if you spend time and wait for it to drop, and over time, that's the game and that's fun, and like you're invested in the time you're spending and you're not losing anything, that's fine. If it becomes a microtransaction, if it becomes something you can buy that affects the game, not a skin now, but an actual, you know, pay to win mechanic, then it completely ruins it.
It's there's a difference between like, here's all the content, you will unlock it in a random order, but if you play enough, you will unlock it all. That'll be £40, please. And either that'll be £60 plus you'll have to keep paying every time you want another chance at this, or, you know, there's a difference with a subscription. I can see a subscription model being okay with WoW. Even though I didn't play World of Warcraft, I know somebody who did, and he was a fucking nerd about it. But again, you know, you're aware of costs up front, and you know there's not going to be anything extra coming down the line that's going to make you want to keep investing to get a return. Whereas something like Call of Duty or FIFA, you know, they're extra on top. So for me, those are the bits that feel like, well, hang on, no, I'm not okay with it because an extra cost.
This is what I feel
for a game. I don't want.
This is what I feel Asmongold has done very well in his content when he covered Diablo, is that he was able to really bring out into the light, drag out into the light, the more insidious and depraved aspects of the game design that might not be so obvious up front. And I think what we're able to sort of crystallize here, I'm trying to, like, you know, develop a concept in my mind here, is that free to play is okay if you know what you're getting into. Endless forever grind that could increase in price and could go up, and then maybe another star and a 6-star thing now, and a you know, that it totally fucks it, totally ruins it. It's all right, Susan. You can go and watch Corey. Don't worry. We'll be on the internet, replayable forever later. Yeah. So, like with World of Warcraft, you know what you're getting into in an expansion. You know that there's going to be stuff that might be more difficult to get over time, but you can eventually get it. It's all on the table in front of you. Whereas some of these, like the worst things about some of these more predatory mechanics, is not just the random factor. It's not just that it's luck or gambling. It's that it's an endless pit that you can, like, forever just flow into.
It's a black hole of money.
Yeah.